Dr. Thibodeau, thank you for joining us. I was just at the point where I was running out of things to say because I was expecting you to be there right away. Listen, everyone, I want to ask you all to welcome Dr. Thibodeau, who has been she was a close colleague of mine in the DLL program. She and I built the DLL program, and her fingerprints and planning are all over what you're experiencing in the ADL program, and all her hard work and the work that she and I have done together are what you are benefiting from in this program. Dr. Thibodeau had the opportunity to move into a position, administrator's position, as a dean of the Honors College here at Lamar, and she'll tell you a little bit about that. And the exciting thing is that a lot of the ideas that we share with you, she has been applying directly into her new position from a slightly different perspective. She's an administrator now, and she gets to apply the organizational change strategies from a slightly different perspective. But the exciting thing is, same ideas, same stuff, the why, what, and how, a little bit of the influencer model, a little bit of 4DX. And so she's going to talk to you folks today about her experiences. And I'm not sure exactly how long she's going to go with, but we'll probably leave some time open for Q&A. And so Dr. Thibodeau, welcome. And we'll now, one last thing. I would like to share this session recording as part of the Learner's Mindset discussion that Dr. Thibodeau and I do. And so what I'm doing is I've set up the recording so that the speaker is paramount. And so when she's talking, we're going to be seeing her completely. And so that's a view that I'm going to be recording. And so we might have some of you folks up at the top. So if there are some faces up at the top, I'm going to let you know if you mind being in one of our Learner's Mindset discussions. If you don't, then I'll do some editing to edit out that row. So I'm just gonna, I'll check with you folks on that after the fact. So Dr. Thibodeau, turn it over to you. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Hear me okay? My volume up good? Great. It is so awesome to be sitting here in an ADL class with you all. I can't begin to tell you what an exciting journey it has been to move from the professorship here at Lamar to the deanship. And I'll tell you a little bit about my role and a little bit about my background, not to bore you, and then tell you a little bit about how I've taken all of these ideas in the middle of what you're doing and pulled them all together to make it work for my organization. So I started off as a public ed teacher. I was in public ed for 11 years. I taught kindergarten. I was an academic coach. I was back when RTI was really big, response to intervention. I was a district interventionist, a campus academic coach. And then I took a digital learning coach too. And then I took the role at Lamar. And this is when I met Dr. H, who became not only my mentor at that time for stepping into higher ed, but trusted in me the opportunity to build such an amazing program that you're in today. And it might not seem so amazing while you're in the thick of it, but you will start to see the connections the further you go and the more leadership positions that you step into and or take, maybe as a digital learning coach at some point, or if you're looking to go out and lead your district in tech, whatever it is you're doing, maybe you're in corporate, I'm not sure where you are, but keep these things that you're learning in your back pocket, because trust me, they will circle back around if you invest in the program and invest in yourself. So how did this happen for me? As we were, co-constructing, I'm conspirating. Dwayne and I are always co-conspirating. Dr. H and I are always co-conspirating. What are we going to do next? How are we going to go after this? And what skills are we going to use to get there? And what are the big picture? What's the big idea? And how are we going to be really good at what we do together, but also in our separate workspaces, right? So when the honors program came up, it was kind of a shock to us both. And I went into the interviews, 11 hours of interviews, by the way, and I realized something about myself I didn't see before, right? I saw myself as a lead because I'd spent so much time digging, investigating, researching these amazing books, the influencer book, Managing Disruptive Innovation. That class was huge for me, even teaching it on my end, but now using it in my program, and leading organizational change and going through 4DX and building out, helping students actually stand alongside them and build out their strategy. was helping build mine, right? So be thinking of this from a coaching perspective and what you're learning and taking in too. So when I went in for the interviews, I was asked some big picture, what's your big goal? What are you looking to do? What's your vision? Where are you at, right? They wanted to learn a little bit about me. And at that time, I'm skeptical, I'm scared, but I went after this whole notion of creating significant learning environments, CSLE, and the COVA learning approach, giving learners choice, ownership, and voice through authentic learning. And oh boy, it's like everyone in that room was like, oh, here we are. This is the breath of fresh air that we needed, right? And everyone talks the rhetoric, but they don't actually walk the walk. And one of the things I wanted to do was get in there and actually walk the walk and show them that change can happen. I'm going to be the catalyst to that, because we talked a lot about, and just in my interviews, being the person that is able to put the pieces together and help other people be successful in their endeavors and what they're doing. Well, now I'm thinking about this from the mindset of students. So I step into this role. I'm brand new. I'm scared to death. I'm not going to lie. Dwayne and I have multiple calls back and forth. What do you think of this? How about that? And he's constantly reminding me, you can do this. You've got the tools you need. And I do. You know why? Because the first thing I did walking into this role was I have to get clear on my why. My why is the most important piece about why am I an honors dean? And also, I'm actually the dean over the Texas Academy of Leadership in the Humanities, which is a high school GT program here at Lamar. So I have I'm two-pronged, right? Well, my why served my purpose. I want to inspire others, but I really thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to inspire students, and here's my why: to transform their passion into their purpose through academics, innovative research, service leadership. That's the main concept of my why, right? And how am I going to do this? Get this, you're going to recognize this. To do this, we offer high impact educational experiences by supporting significant learning environments that offer choice, ownership, and voice through authentic learning opportunities. You recognize that? Anybody in here? I knew you would. And what we prepare successful college graduates who have their choice of top tier graduate schools and influential careers where they will impact and inspire others through leadership and innovation. I started there, but it never stops, right? If you want to go from good to great and from great to excellent, you can't stop there. So I started cycling back. What is my big, hairy, audacious goal? What's my BHAG, right? And I started thinking, where are the students at? What's the pulse on my staff, on my faculty? Where are we going? Who do I want to become? Where do I want the honors college to go, right? Thinking big picture. So my BHAG turned out to become the most influential and desired honors college program in all of Texas, right? A pretty big BHAG. Not sure how I'm gonna get there yet, but every step I take in that direction is where I stopped and I said, okay, now I've got to set up lag and lead measures. So I found a way to kind of pull together 4DX and also influencer and Simon Sinek's why, right? So I found a way to kind of map my journey, and each time I go back through, and it took me 4 solid months to get my why, my how, my what statement even somewhat clear. So you're thinking, how I'm supposed to do this in 8 weeks? This is just a starting point. You're going to go back through your other classes and think this through and iterate, right? Because the most important central purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing relates back to my students and inspiring them. And I had to get down to the nitty gritty. It's not because someone wanted me to do this or I'm doing this for an administrator. You have to be selfish there. What is it that gets me up and out of bed every day, right? So that's where I kind of began. And then I built out my BHAG. And then I started thinking, well, I'm going to need more than that. Okay. I'm going to need a wildly important goal. My BHAG was really who I wanted to become. And that's, if you look at Jim Collins' work, he kind of organizes it that way. Now, Dr. H may have you writing that a little bit differently to get you started. But then I realized I need a wildly important goal that's a bit more specific as it relates to my job role, right? So what I said was, okay, we're going to establish an honors in the academic colleges. We're not going to be siloed from the academic colleges. We're going to establish honors in the academic colleges by offering creative pathways to graduate with honors college status. So I listened to what everyone had to say. I visited every department. I iterated multiple times, went over this so many times. I'm sure there'll be more tweaks. And then, of course, Dr. H is my landing point. I run everything past him. What do you think? Where you at? And he always has these little shifts and tweaks that help me out majorly. With that, then I started thinking, okay, now I've got to come up with some lag and lead measures, because how am I going to get to these goals that I have if I don't have those lag and lead measures straight, right? So I keep building and adding to this idea, and I keep writing out my thoughts, and I keep going, okay, what am I doing and where am I going? And I keep iterating. This page that I'm telling you about, I'm giving you this much. This is actually, it turned into a 25-page single space document. But I'm giving you the simple version of it because it's taken me so much. If I had not done what I'd done in the DLL program, I would not be sitting in this chair. And welcome to my office at work, by the way. Yes, I'm staying late just for you because I love our ADL students. But I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if I had not gone through and actually been an integral part of co-constructing the program from the beginning. And I'm actually walking the walk. I'm not just talking the rhetoric. So, and Dr. H said, you should come in and talk to the class. And I thought, well, I don't know, because it's kind of out of order. It's a little bit different than how we've done things in the program before in terms of kind of putting a BHAG and a why, how, and what statement together and a WIG and the lag and lead measures. But I found that pulling those pieces together is more powerful than keeping them siloed by themselves or just doing it separately. I found a way to pull the pieces together. I'm not done. In 6 months from now, this will probably be a 50-page document or longer. All that to say, when people ask me what's my vision, it's there. When I go to presentations and I have to, like, I went to alumni advisory board meeting last week. I think it was, yeah, it was last week. The first thing after the beginning slide was my why, my how, and my what statements, right? I want everyone to understand and see where we're at, where we're going. And then the best part, I invite people into that journey. I passed it out to my staff. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about this? And at first, kind of they're like, oh, who is this philosophical crazy bird over here? But I walk the walk, I model it, and I give everything that I stand behind it. And they know that. They know that. And I think that has kind of bloomed out to other people who might be a little bit hesitant on how the heck do you give your students choice? Well, I don't want to do that. I want to control everything. If they just check off these boxes and get this work done this way, everything will be fine. But they have to be able to think on their own. They have to be able to, not be afraid to step into an honors college experience where I didn't know that I was going to be here, right? They have to not be afraid of interviews and developing plans. Best part, innovation plans. So you're building one, right? Everybody in here has got something like that, right? Okay, I hope so, because if you're in 5304, you should be. So when I came to the academy, I was asked to serve on Leadership Southeast Texas, and it's a group where you go out and do a service project. Well, I remember one of our DLL students in the fall who developed, I helped her at Top 5305, so I helped her develop her own innovation plan. I'll tell you a story and then I'll be quiet. Well, she developed this innovation plan around building STEAM kits for kids who could not get access to, I don't know if you're familiar with the Stark House in Orange. Some of you might be, but there's a Stark House in Orange. It's one of the first places in Orange to ever have electricity. And she's a coordinator there. Her name is Hannah, but she wanted to build STEAM kits around the Stark House Museum and be able to pass these out to students through a drive-through kind of style because of COVID last year, right? So I helped her develop this, and all that to say, when it became my turn to pick a project, an innovation project through this Leadership Southeast Texas, wasn't the same notion as an innovation project, but it was the same kind of thinking. I pulled my team together and I said, hey, let's go out and let me see what you guys think about this project. And I explained everything to them. And I have a team of people from the community, Bridge City, and a few other places who have come together. And we actually had an on-site STEAM experience for a bunch of little ones. I think there were 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. And we taught them a bit about how to incorporate STEAM into the history of the Stark House. So it's a really unique project. And we're at the final stage of it. So we're developing a media project. Of course, I'm going to go all the way through, just like you did and are doing, and we're developing a media project. All this to say, this is kicking off the innovation seminars that I'm doing in the high school academy. So the high school academy kids are grouping up together, selecting an organization, and actually building out a proposal just like you did in 5305. What are the opportunities? What's the problem? What are the opportunities? What are you going to need? What is this going to solve? They're actually putting their proposals together right now, and they're self-selecting into their groups. They're doing it a little differently. So they're self-selecting into groups. They're using collaborative docs. These are high school kids. They're building out the proposal the month of October. They're going to carry out a 2-3 month long project because they're graduating seniors. They're going to cycle back and they're going to do videos, and we're kind of calling them pay it forward videos, 2-minute pitches. And these are going to be some videos that we use, post to our website. And one group picked the Academy, and I'm excited because this group is going to create a video on the day in the life of a Texas Academy student. We need that. We need that kind of marketing for our program, right? It's an amazing program. So that was their project, and they're going to kind of lead, graduate, and then the juniors are going to tack on and do that too. All this will be added to their ePortfolios as well. They're building that too. So I've taken what you're doing here, and I've kind of created a unique way of putting together 5304 and the what you've been reading through the influencer and Simon Sinek's Why, and 4DX, kind of pulled all that together, built a plan out, and taking elements of the ePortfolio and elements of what you've developed in terms of building learning networks and other things that you've done in the program, and kind of pulled it together. And it looks different for honors and it looks different for the Academy. So honors is doing big, hairy, audacious goals. They do why, how, and what statements. They develop a research agenda, and they join learning networks and build an ePortfolio. So I've been able to take all these ideas and bring them together in my own unique way. It wasn't like how to do it a certain way, just like we did it in the classes. I found what worked for me, made it my own, took ownership of it myself, and am modeling what choice, ownership, and voice means through authentic learning projects. And these kids are, give me more. I took away a 2-hour service requirement. Well, why? Because you're going to spend a lot more time working on your innovation plans as a group and learning how to collaborate and actually improve some aspect of an organization through what you would say disruptive innovation. Not quite for high school, but yes, they are making an impact and they are going there. So that's kind of the fast version. I talk a lot and talk fast. But that's the fast version of what I've been doing. But it's actually, not only has it opened doors for our students, but I feel like I'm doing things the way they need them to be done to turn it into a student-centered learning environment, if that makes sense. It's not just checking the boxes, though, to graduate, you have to do X, Y, Z, and A, B, C. Now you're preparing for that mechanical engineering degree through a service project that you are STEM and you're coming together and you're working together collaboratively to make change, to be the catalyst for change that you want to see in some organization. Do you guys see the parallels here to what you're doing? I made it my own. And that's what I hope that you will do. I know it's kind of still early in your program and you might be taking in a lot. Maybe for some of you, it's not as early. I'm not sure where you're at, but whatever be the case, rely on these things, because I would not be sitting, I can't believe out of all the people that interviewed with me, and there were lots of other deans that interviewed alongside me, that I was given this opportunity. And I'm telling you, it's from being in this program as a professor. Which is
So, Dr. Thibodeau, Talissa, I want to thank you for that inspirational start off. I'm going to open up questions for the group here, but I just want to summarize something that I heard, and I think is really important. You've taken the core elements of what was important in the DLL program, and you applied them to your own unique circumstances. And the why, what, and the how, or the why and the purpose was something that is not only important for the programs you're leading, but it also was perhaps a key factor in why you even got the position, because people had recognized that you had a vision and you were appealing not just to the head but to the heart.
yes.
And that focus set you apart. Is that a fair statement?
I'm going to tell you a big secret on that one too. If you are personable, you can focus. If you believe in what you say, and you really, it comes from the heart, and you've done the work ahead of time, and you think these things through, people feel that. So you can sometimes speak to the vision, but appeal to the heart through that. Does that make sense? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I want to thank you, and I don't want to maximize your time by asking all the questions that I have, because I get to talk to you more often than these folks do. So we'll talk later. So listen, folks, 5304 folks, questions. What questions do you have? Or comments, or just you've got somebody who is living what we've asked you to live, and what questions do you have for her?
I have a question. Dr. Thibodeau?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Colby. I teach just north of Houston, and I'm just wondering, how did you know when you were in the classroom or when you were still in public education, how did you make the decision to switch to university?
Okay. Well, let's see. I've got to think back a little bit there. There's not a great answer to that one, I'll be honest, because my favorite years were kindergarten. And I had several people encourage me and say, I could definitely see you helping coach others, inspire others. So I went down the coaching path, and I applied to positions, and I got position as a coach. And then when I saw some of the opportunities, and I met different professors who were also, in my opinion, inspiring to me, it kind of kicked in that maybe I could work with other teachers in this way. And I didn't really plan this, but I also learned that when opportunities open, you already have the no. So the no is guaranteed. I realized I would like a challenge, but I also want to be able to influence other people the way I have been influenced. Again, going back to my why. And that's how that happened. I saw that job opening and thought, I know I have the no, and they may not think I'm qualified, but I'm going to go in there and I'm going to give it my best. And personality is important. Being able to be flexible and being able to develop relationships with people that are beyond surface level, caring and listening. And when I realized I had people that did that to me, I wanted to give back to others. And that's the truth of it. And I know that might not be the answer you expected, but that process led back to developing my why, that inspire word, that what do I believe, right? And I have to learn, I have to walk that. Even in my marriage, I have to walk that. I have to really live that. So yeah, I've had a unique opportunity to meet people all over the world. I wouldn't change that. Standing here from where I was, totally different vantage point. Every experience will help you get there if you invest in others and invest in yourself, right? And I don't mean that in a selfish or negative way, but like being in the program right now, it's a lot. I know it's a lot of work. You have lives, you teach, you do what you do. But don't be afraid to take opportunities when they open. I know I did.
Did you get your doctorate in that process, and when?
Yes, I did. I went straight through.
Yeah.
I didn't stop, but instructional tech and distance ed, I picked the challenging, and Dr. H taught me a lot. He taught me a lot. Trust me, there are probably times where he's going, oh, but I learned a lot. And what I learned that's so important is to never stop learning, right? And just give to people. When you invest in others, they invest in you. And that's powerful. But yeah, through that process, there's some questions. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Colby, okay. Other questions?
Dr. Thibodeau, I have a question. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'll wait. There's a question in the chat, but go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Thibodeau. Thank you for being here. My question really focuses on, implementing an innovation, given the times in the midst of a pandemic. And I think when we talk about, if, for me, I love, the concept of blended learning. And this is definitely something that I would love to do. But, continuing that momentum, because I think we can create something and make it visually appealing and have everything that we need, all the strategies, but keeping up that momentum, given the times, I think, that's a challenge. And how do we kind of work around that and kind of maybe create, I don't know, maybe a unified implementation where you're focusing on something like this, and maybe self-care and trauma-informed practices and all these other things under this one umbrella?
That's a really
Hopefully
great question. And I've learned I have to go slow to go fast. What I have to do, and one thing I have to remember is, even when I think I'm not influencing people, I am. Sometimes we think we work in this role, that's our job, we're a teacher, and we can't influence other people. I felt that way at one point. But what I realized was and it's hard work, but the more I have crucial conversations, the more I share my vision, the more I find that people, and this is kind of funny, but when I went around and talked to a lot of people on my campus out of my own, I wanted to get to know what are these departments, who are these people, and what do they do? I was kind of looking for people who were in my headspace. I was looking for people who were like-minded, to be people that I could go to and have conversations like that would understand my why, my how, my what in the same respect. So I'm garnering that support that way, but through those conversations and below surface level, getting to know people. But I also learned that some of the people that are not on your team help you learn valuable lessons too. So I learned to be open-minded and listen, because the best thing you can do is pull people together that are like-minded, not like-minded. And if they have the right, if you drop the dialogue into the pool of meaning, crucial conversations, and you get clear about what you're trying to do, whether that's your why or whether that's just making a simple decision, you want to listen to other people and take into account what they had to say. And that's, sometimes that's hard. And what that does is that causes you to go back to the drawing board and iterate. It causes you to go back to that statement or that lag and lead measure or that plan and go, maybe I was a little off here. And so I look at it as a never ending process. It just keeps going in that direction. It just doesn't stop, and I'll never get there. Kind of like your Eportfolio will never be done. It's just a constant work down that path and keep finding ways to influence people through relationships. Key. That's the most key. I've watched people say the same thing and be about it, and other people will say the same thing and be kind about it. And I see where people gravitate when that happens. I learn a lot by watching what not to do.
Right.
That's the truth. Does that help?
Yes. So kind of just creating those like those safe spaces, so to speak, to where we honor those different perspectives, because it's not like a one size fits all approach.
Yep. And you might find that what you've spent a lot of time in, you are going this way with it and it needs to be turned this way.
Gotcha.
And that's okay, because that makes you better. Yeah. Right.
Awesome.
But it takes time. I'm not patient with myself because I want things to be, the systems and things to be fixed. But I have to be patient with myself. And this is where I say, you got to go slow to go fast. Not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like your ideas. Not everyone's going to go along with you. But when they see you're making progress and your trajectory is going in the right direction, and you are walking what you believe and talking what you believe, and you're not harming anyone, they start going, okay, there's something worth it here. Like right before this meeting, I had a lady who's running the catering. She's like, that presentation, and I'm not a fan of presenting in front of people, but when you're asked, you got to do it. That presentation was so inspiring. And I thought, thank you. If one person in the room thought it was inspiring, and she said, and you should have seen your students' faces when you were talking about them. I said, well, good. I'm glad you told me. I couldn't look over there because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. So I'm talking to the crowd. And if that inspired one person, and her next word to me was, I was talking to my husband who's doing some teaching over at Lamar State College Orange. And I told him he needs to get in touch with you because he's working with juniors and seniors and he's retired from the Navy and all this stuff. And oh my gosh. And I thought, okay, that's exactly what I want other people to see. I don't expect people to match my energy level by any means, but I do hope I inspire someone. And that journey allows me to build connections with people. And then they talk to other people. Oh, I heard about this. That's how it starts. It doesn't mean it's not hard work. Trust me. I feel like I fail forward a lot, but I have learned to get a new definition of failure. Move on. Put it here, move on. And I don't typically fit the check boxes that most people would think, oh, a dean has to be this, that, and the other, very serious. And I'm not that. But I think that's why I was hired, to change a bit of a culture. Maybe. I'm still figuring that one out.
Change the culture. Interesting. Excellent. Well, there is a question here in the chat, and it's from Melanie. And thank you, Melanie. And it's about, so you've got a few books that you've mentioned here, The Influencer, 40X, Crucial Conversations, and the whole why, what, and how. Is there one book or one strategy that you go to more than the others?
So they build on each other. So when I started with What's Your Why, and I read Simon Sinek's Why, most important book for me, because it was the central idea, right? There, if I didn't have that central idea of what I believed, how could I influence anyone else on personal motivation, social motivation, personal ability, the 6 keys to influence. So I had to know my why, I had to know how and my what, and not just for my organization, but for me too. Right. So I had to go, that's my number one. And then the influencer helped me understand other people. 40X was more to me more systems based and strategy approach. So I kind of use them for different people. What's my why about me and the organization? If I look at it like our purpose and where we're going and the vision, the influencer I used for, mostly dealing and learning with people, dealing with behavior and people and those kinds of things. 40X is more of the strategies and the lag and lead measures of what I needed to be able to compartmentalize things and make it clear for my staff, even myself and my administration. And then crucial conversations, again, kind of goes back to that, influencer, when you're dealing with other people, making sure things are clear, that everyone understands where you're going and why you're going there. But honestly, I love the influencer, but without my why, I don't think the influencer would have been as effective as it's been. And when I deal with people, sometimes I go, how is this person motivated? Is it social ability? If that's the case, and I kind of pick that out, I go back to that section and I like, I may need to kind of tweak it this way when I'm talking with this person to help them understand my thinking and vice versa. So without my why, none of these would be clear. Does that make sense? My why, my organization's why. And I built both programs to mirror each other. So we're kind of building, and we mirror, right? So nothing's too different than the other. It's my why for the academy is the same as my why for the honors college. So, oh, Deanna, that's so sweet. Thank you.
So I guess it's a tie then. It would be fair to say that you use all the ideas and use them together. They build on each other, but the why is a starting point. I do have a question before I turn it over to other folks with some questions. Prior to being exposed to the formal why, what, and how, had you always thought about the why, or was that a newer thing that you were exposed to in our work? And I'm kind of interested to hear your response to that.
No, actually, I didn't realize how important the why was until I watched Simon Sinek's How Leaders Inspire Action probably 15 times. And every time I watched it, I took something else from it and something clicked. So before the DLL program, I remember students saying to me, well, I wanted to be a teacher because my dad was a teacher. And I accepted that. But is that really a why? Or am I doing something for someone else? And I think that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Honestly, I had that same answer. Well, my dad was a teacher. He was the first one in the state of Indiana to get his professional teaching license, which is crazy, but long story. I didn't really consider just how important that is. And then I realize now how lost I would have been or even would be in this role without that why. That is my cornerstone. That is branded everywhere. As a matter of fact, we're coming up with a new logo for the Honors College, and it all relates around aspects of my why. So my why, how, and what statements deal with imagine and innovate and impact. So we're building a logo around that. And I'm actually going to have the students create the logo. I want them to turn this whole why, and this is a great opportunity for me to kind of let them see the why, the how, the what, the big, hairy, audacious goal, and what all the important goals are. So I'll say, design this around these, pieces. So no, I didn't see how important it was. Until I got in here and really started investing and I listened for other people's why. I'll ask them, why are you doing what they're doing? If somebody says, oh, it's because my husband, no, tell me why. I'll dig and dig and dig, because you have to be real with yourself. You have to unveil something you didn't know about yourself and visit those uncomfortable places. And that's how I've learned to be comfortable, is by getting uncomfortable and being vulnerable. It sucks. It's hard. I hate it, but it brings me to a better place.
So is it fair to say dealing with me for all these years has helped you be uncomfortable? So there is a benefit hanging out with me for a little while, right?
The first year I was like, where did this guy come from? And it took me a while to trust him, because I was like, these ideas are like, he's telling me to do these things. And I don't even like, because he's telling me to read these books and get, because we're building a program together, right? And he's got a lot of experience in this that I didn't have. I was more a practical teacher and coming in from, public ed. And I'm like, gosh. And then what happened was I was like, okay, I'm not gonna buck him anymore. I'm gonna trust him. And so I started listening, and then it all started to link. It just kept coming together. And everything that he claimed is true, I would go back and be like, I'm going to find something. He's talking great. I'm going to go find, there's got to be something here that's not, oh no, he has done his research and done his homework. And, I consider myself a lucky person if I can even dabble a little bit of like goodness to something, because he's already had his hands on it. I know I can trust that it's good, solid work. And when you talk to other business professors, deans, and you mentioned Jim Collins for the Bhag, or you mentioned Simon Sinek, they're like, oh yeah, they're all excited. These are ideas that have been around, and good businesses, good companies, and that work, process from the inside out and not the outside in. That's one of my big things, processing from the inside out, not the outside in. Even marketing things inside out, right? Going after the heart. That's what it's like, wow, what a difference. What I was scared to death of, I took the chance, and I'm still learning every day, but I took the chance and I was like, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. I know this. And I've had the best support all the way through, because people see that I'm trying to walk my walk, and I plaster it everywhere. So I'm plastering imagine, innovate, impact, all that stuff out on my doors, and we're branding. So we're excited.
So we only have a couple minutes left, about 3 minutes before we have to wrap up the session. Is there a tip, words of wisdom? Is there something you want to pass on to this group of dreamers? Because everybody in this room here right now are people who believe that they are going to change the world one learner at a time. They bought in. They're desiring to make a difference in their learning environments. What's that last little parting words of wisdom that you might be able to share with them to inspire, to encourage them, maybe point them in the right direction?
Okay. Biggest thing that I learned is turning a challenge into an opportunity for myself, and also spreading that to others. So every time a challenge would come my way, how can I learn from this? How can I be inquisitive and ask questions that I didn't know existed? How can I take all the bits and incorporate other people's ideas, and really I can encapsulate it in this thought, okay, to be different, right? This is something I've never let go of from the time, I think it was, 2002. I read it on a bookmark. Set your course by the stars and not by the lights of every passing ship. And I'm going to say, and that was the year my dad passed away of a heart attack. And then I said, I'm going to be the person I never knew I could be. I'm going to take a challenge and I'm going to make it mine, and I'm going to tackle it. Okay. So going back to that initial question from Colby, I felt inspired, and I found people who were inspirational and wanted to be that person. And here I am today, and that's kind of what I'm known for. So I would say, turn challenges into your opportunities. When everyone out there is a naysayer and says you can't do it, keep your focus on the stars, because you can turn can'ts into cans. I've always learned that no is a definite maybe.
Oh, that's so good. So thank you. We are right at the end of our session, and I want to thank Dr. Thibodeau. And there's one more little question here that Nellie had posted about the how and the why. Is it a process? Is one before the other, or they work together? And I'm going to channel my inner to listen and say I think they're interdependent and they work together. But it would start with the why. Am I right? It does start with the why.
I did not have a why. I could not have a how. My why sets the tone, and my how comes after that, then my what. That's processing from the inside out.
Yeah. So again, Dr. Thibodeau, thank you so much for sharing with us and inspiring us and encouraging all of us. I'm excited to have you here, but I'm also disappointed because we don't get to do this as much as we used to. So we're gonna have to talk about that. I miss your enthusiasm. I miss your excitement. So thank you again.